Welcome to episode number 7 of the DJ Burgduff Show. My name is DJ Burgduff. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And more appreciation, I think. A fun thing happened over the weekend, and I want to address this right out of the gate, especially for those who might be tuning in for the first time. I want to say whoa and thank you to Twitter. Specifically the libertarian breed of Twitter. I stumbled upon a hashtag around about Friday night, about 4 or 5 days ago, called No Libertarian Under 1K, or No Libertarians Under 1K. And I thought it was curious. I align myself with the Libertarian Party. I most closely align with the values of what I believe the Libertarian Party to believe. And while I'm not, say, registered or proclaiming that, I jumped on the thread and started hashtagging, started tweeting, started retweeting, started encouraging people to follow others. And I found myself going way higher than I thought possible. I started the weekend, I don't know, right around 350 followers. Mostly friends, acquaintances, people I find interesting that have followed me back. And as of right now, I'm just under 1,200. And I think that's insane. I almost felt, and some of you probably will agree with me, like I cheated a little bit. Like I backdoored the system in some way or another. And I even heard some people, or read that some people, mentioned that, the people who have worked for their 1,100 followers, and then all of a sudden I'm graced with 3 times what I started with. But I thought it was curious enough to stay interested, through the first couple days. And then as your Twitter followers increase, greater interest, greater momentum, greater morale behind the thing sort of took place. And I found myself in a spot where I was encouraging people to follow others more than follow myself, just because, I don't know, provide value, do whatever, you help others, it helps you. But I want to say thank you. I genuinely want to say thank you to the people that took the time to engage in that thread, to engage in sharing, to engage in following, to follow so many people that Twitter stops you, right? If you get over 400 or something like that, or get to 400 in the course of 24 hours, they shut you down and they make you wait for whatever reason. I don't know, and I don't care. But I want to thank the people that followed me first. I know it was part of the game. I know it was part of the ritual, but it was part of the hashtag. It was part of the momentum. It was part of getting caught up in something that was just fun. But I find myself burdened with a little bit of responsibility now. I find myself thinking, well, now what? I don't foresee anything like this happening again soon, or me being involved enough in a hashtag that might take off. And I'll be frank. I'll just stop and I'll tell you, I'm not going to be the most vocal libertarian that you have ever seen. I don't know that I'll even call myself necessarily a libertarian, although I anchor myself strongly to the deep-rooted founding father type mentality about how our system ought to work, and how our government ought to work, and how our government ought to be. And I anchor myself to the idea that we should be valuing the liberties of an individual far more than we do. We should be celebrating the liberties of an individual, and government should protect those individuals and their liberties. But while I sit here and tell you that I won't be the most vocal libertarian, I will be practicing wholeheartedly, trying to secure my freedom, trying to secure my own liberty, trying to pave a way for others to do the same, trying to show others how to do that. Now, I'm not there yet. If you're watching this for the first time, you'll see that I've got other episodes on YouTube. This is more or less a video blog, a video log of me working my way through my thoughts and trying to figure out how to become the holder of my own freedom, the creator of my own destiny, the catalyst for what could be. And I've stumbled over the last 6 months or so through all of these episodes, through trying to create content, through trying to become an entrepreneur, through trying to become someone that can start a business. And I'm not quite there yet. But I've really focused my ideas, and I've really found myself in a spot where I can start to take some real steps, some next steps. And you got to be asking yourself now, well, what does libertarianism have to do with you trying to start a business, DJ? And I think I can answer that question. I've thought about it a lot, actually. I found myself following people, and every once in a while, in the mad rush of following, I would say, should I follow this person? Do I believe what this person believes? And in a couple instances, I said, no, I don't necessarily want to be associated with that person for whatever reason. Philosophy, in the 30 seconds, or way less than that, I guess, the 10 seconds that you might spend perusing someone's feed and what they post and what they retweet and whatever else, maybe you find yourself not getting a good vibe. But then I stopped and I said, this brand of political ideology, really any brand of political ideology, it's just a commonality between people. It's just something that we have in common. And the reality is we're all coming to that same spot through different lenses, through different paths. We've landed in this spot where we've either been taught or realized that our system is broken. Our system doesn't seem to operate as intended. And we think we align with what might be the fix. But that's just one thing about us. That's just one thing about being people. It's just one thing about being in this world, is we have one thing in common. We kind of sort of think government or politics ought to be a certain way. And everything else about us could be different, should be different, is different. So many varying lenses and paths and family structures and whatever else. And God, we should be celebrating that stuff. We should be celebrating the differences. We should look at a guy or a gal posting the same thing right around the same number of followers who has a business, going, good for you. Go get that shit. Go get it. Go do it. Go believe it. And I'm right there behind you. And so that's where I think these two worlds intersect. That's where I think these two worlds, and maybe I didn't say it, directly, or maybe I didn't get there the right way. I think these two worlds intersect at, we all kind of believe something, and now we've got this community, and we all kind of do this other stuff. And it's no different than, going to church or being at work, or even being in line at Starbucks and you bump into somebody and there's a connection. You bump into somebody and you strike up a conversation. Maybe you become friends on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever the hot thing is. Like maybe you connect that way. How is this different? We've connected. We've started a community. There are portions of us, outside of just being human, that are now like-minded. And we have a commonality. Now let's support each other, right? Let's grow together. Let's sharpen each other. Let's read together. Let's find books that inspire us. Let's find speakers that inspire us. Let's share things that inspire us. Let's sharpen each other. Let's try out the products that other like-minded people develop, that they buy. that they sell, that they share. Let's engage, right? Let's take it a step further. And that's where I think these two things intersect. I feel extremely blessed to have been a part of this little thread, and I hope it continues. It's kind of cool. It seems to be continuing, and now I feel like I've kind of I pushed a snowball down a hill that's kind of rolling on its own a little bit. And I don't really want it to die, but I don't really feel like I need to sit there and nurture it the same way I was, Friday or Saturday when this all started. But now I can't take 1,200 people and just retweet about fantasy football. Something I think is fun, by the way. I'm sure there are others, but I can't just retweet about that. Like what good is that going to do? I'm taking a responsibility, and so it just kind of happens. It just sort of happens that what I'm doing with this or where I'm going with this sort of aligns, I hope, with the concept that we now have a like-minded community that all sort of follow each other, and now we can all engage in each other's activities and engage in each other chasing whatever freedoms they feel are important. So I'll say it again. I'll say thank you. I'm really enjoying it. The influx of followers actually really put a little wind in my sail. So that's good. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll continue to figure out ways to fire up that community however I can. If you want to stick around, cool. I've just got a couple things I'd like to recap on, which I think continue from the thread we just talked about, Twitter followers and libertarianism and whatever else. But what I'm doing here is just documenting my thoughts. I'm just a normal guy with what we'll call a 9-to-5, right? I work construction, I plan construction jobs, and I have a good career. I also think, there's something more out there in this world. I think I have a responsibility to chase it. I think I have a responsibility to chase it and show others what chasing it looks like. I think I have a responsibility to chase it and to teach my two young boys, who are now 2 and almost 4 this week, how to chase it as well. And I think it's a responsibility. I'm taking ownership of it as a responsibility to learn how to start something, to not live on my heels, to live maybe with my head way out in front of my toes, with the potential to fall, with the potential to land awkwardly or painfully, maybe sustain long-term injury, I don't know, but it's a responsibility. If true freedom exists, I need to find it, and I need to find it and develop it and nurture it and chase it. And that's what I'm doing. Like I said, these YouTube episodes, these early stage episodes are all concept, right? They're verbal diarrhea. They're getting things out of my head and out into the world just for the sake of doing that. Now, I've got other ideas, and those things are being worked on. They're being developed slower than I want. No one will be surprised by that. But as they come out, I will share them wholeheartedly. And I think I'll continue to just blah, blah, blah on this. I think I'll still have episodes on YouTube where I just talk about what I did and why I did what I did and why I was thinking the way I was thinking. And I think there's some value in that. I think there's some people that are following that are genuinely getting their belief systems reinforced, or getting their actions reinforced, or getting the things they think or say reinforced, and we're saying the same things. We're trying to do a lot of the same things as well. And even for the handful of people that are following that are genuinely getting value out of this, it's worth my effort. And I think it's worth documenting the trials, the raw stuff that we think about, the raw, hard things to deal with. The Tuesday night, man, I haven't posted in 3 weeks type feelings. I think those things are important. And so I'm going to keep posting this, even when whatever my business becomes or whatever my future podcast becomes, takes off and becomes, the work, I still need to sit down and talk through some of the hard stuff because I think it's valuable. So I set up a couple rules when I first did this, and this is kind of how I'll close. And this has been a good foundation, and tying it back to, the whole no libertarian under 1,000 thread thing is when I first started this, it was either episode 1 or 2 where I set up some rules for myself on what this should look like. And I always want to focus on helping someone else first, help you. And it was funny, my follows on my Twitter feed actually really took off when I started finding other people that were really close to milestones and retweeting what they needed. I'd find, this follower and say, this person's at 900, let's get them to 1,000. That's when my stuff took off, is when I started helping other people, and I thought that was super curious. Obviously, so that was rule 1. Rule 2, so help you was rule 1. Rule 2 was help me, and we determined, or I determined, that the nature of doing something like this, especially when you're raw and truthful and being honest, the nature of this in and of itself, of doing something like this, of doing something creative, is going to help you. It's therapeutic, it's meditative, it's journalistic, right? If you were sitting down and writing a journal, it's very akin to those types of things, and it puts your mind in a place where you start thinking about it often. You start thinking about it all the time. You start practicing and you start developing, new content, and it really puts your headspace in a creative place where just about everything you think of is as creative as you can possibly be. So helping me is just inherent to doing something like this, but obviously I'm doing this to chase my own freedoms. The third rule was legacy. I mentioned it just briefly a little bit ago that I've got 2 young boys that I need to teach how to be people. In my head, more specifically, I want to teach them how to be adults long before they get there, or at least be around to nurture them, but also, so give them something that would prepare them whether I'm here or not, develop a legacy, but also prepare myself to be there if I'm around when they need the help. If I'm still around, if I last, preparing myself to get there, right? Not just being the old timer, when they turn 18, that says, I remember when, and I knew this, and this story and that. No, actually genuinely preparing myself. Getting ready, doing something now so that you can leave something for them should you not make it that far, but then also preparing yourself to get there. Developing a legacy was rule 3. I don't remember the specifics around rule 4 or 5, but it was something along the lines of work towards something bigger. I've called it developing freedom, building your own freedom, nurturing your own freedom. I don't think government's going to do it for you. I don't think anybody else is going to do it for you. It's not just going to fall in your lap. So you've got to take it. You've got to value building something bigger or doing something bigger over what we choose to do with our free times otherwise, whether it be stream Netflix or YouTube videos for hours on end, chase programming. What's the new show? I saw a couple people, and I'm still floored by it. What show should I watch on Netflix? Which one haven't I watched yet? And I'm just floored by that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I love a good show. I've watched countless hours of programming, and some of it's phenomenal, and talented people making art, and some of it's necessary, and some of it's just crazy entertaining. And not that there's anything wrong with it, but I'm just floored that we seek it out so readily over seeking out other things that would clearly be to our benefit. So work towards something bigger was 4. And that's a rule for me. That's not a rule for you. I'm not telling you how to be. I'm just floored that we could put so much effort into something, or we could put all that effort in some other place and see a significant return. We would probably shock ourselves. Anyway, that's all I got. This show is a little off the cuff, a little unplanned, a little unrehearsed, but hopefully effective in some way or another. Again, I want to thank you. If you are one of those followers now, I will do my best to shoulder the responsibility of not being a wasted follow for you. And hopefully someday I can provide you with something that's valuable to you as well. Until that time, if you'd like to check out more stuff, I'm not hard to find. If you have my Twitter feed, which some of you might be finding on here, or might have found me through that, djburgduff.com is the website. There's not much on it there except for some links on how to find me socially or find my YouTube page. You can find me on YouTube. You guys are crafty. You can find me wherever you want to. Drop me a message. Drop me a note. Drop me an email. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm all on board to start connecting and start becoming part of this community and supporting whatever you got going on. Appreciate your time. Thanks again. Till next time. Take care.